What's up? What's up, guys? Just coming in. I wanted to come on live a little bit earlier than I did, but I got crazy busy with my actual job today. So, unfortunately, we have to kind of catch the last 10 minutes of the options chain. I wanted to do at least an hour or two of coverage, but a little is better than none. So, looking today, it looks like based off some of the news, there was a little bit of uploading on some of these puts. Even the puts were above the asking price. So these guys are rushing to get them in. Although there still are a lot of calls that came through today. Some at these nice strike prices right here. $98,000 on this one. Kind of just watching them live though and seeing what's going on. If we're looking at the block trades, which you could see on the alerts over here to the right, we have seen quite a bit. Let's see if I can filter this out for you guys. Let's just put it at dark pool in blocks. So 160,000 shares above ask though. That was early. That was at $33. Doesn't look like we have any dark pool prints for the day. And I was expecting the options chain to be a little bit more busy right now towards the last 10 minutes. We'll see. I know a lot of you guys were looking at, I wanted to show this to you, I had some people asking about my previous video earlier, where these shares that Adam sold to Mudrick Capital. And so just to clarify, the offering consists of shares beneficially owned by Blackwell Partners. So it wasn't diluted shares or shares that were pulled out of thin air or anything like that. I would assume they have some sort of partnership. I don't know. And then you kind of see, if we looked at, when we were looking at the chart, you could see it even right here, right when they released that news. You've seen pretty much, I think it's a mix of people panicking, right? People dumping their positions, and then new apes coming in, freaking out. And also, but that's just natural. And I still think, I mean, you guys have to understand, the shorts are still down over the last week, $1.5 billion. So that's pretty incredible. Anybody who tells you that, you know, we're in a bad position is full of shit. Yeah, there's not much coming through on the options chain right now. The open interest on this $40 strike price is pretty good for today. For the rest of you guys, how's everybody doing? How's your guys' day going? I'm bullish as hell right now. I think that we're still good. I mean, the news that these guys sold off and all that shit, who cares? We don't even know what they're going to do yet. I mean, there was that article that was released, but until there's some real information, you know, it's just, most of it is all speculation at this point. I do have, we're going to do a little bit of a, I do have a, that's, so if that's the case, and then you have them dropping it right there, and then you have everybody else that is panicking. So I think you have a mixture of both. And to me, like I said, though, if this is what we have to deal with, if this is the dip right now, if that was their sell-off, I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. What's up, Ray? I hope you're having a good day. Let's bring AMC back up here. I mean, there are some like decent size, like there's $98,000 on these 73 strikes on 70, 120. Oh, this is a put actually. Sometimes when I just see yellow, I go right to it. Some people that are definitely bullish if we're looking at the options chain. This is just for today. But like I said, when we seen this dip, you could see that there was a lot of puts that were put in play as well. But a lot of these too, I think it's important to consider. A lot of these guys could have long positions too, and they're just hedging. I do have, we're going to do a little, I'm going to talk to TMI today, do a little bit of a podcast recording. I think I have that in a little bit less than an hour. I'm interested and happy to do that. That should be cool. Oh, here we go. This is a big one. So This just came through. So on the 73, oh, it's yellow because somebody else already achieved it, but there's a call right here at $10,000 in value at 73. So they might try and print on that if we happen to get a run. Is the squeeze starting or is this organic growth? I'm pretty sure this is most of this is organic growth. We might have seen a mix of a little bit of a FOMO squeeze and, some of the, I think a little bit of a gamma squeeze too, because of all the options that were in the money last week. So, a lot of times market makers will do what's known as a delta hedge, and they will buy the shares basically to have, if, the people that were in the money on their options choose to exercise them. So I think that helped drive the price up as well. The cool thing about gamma squeezes, and hopefully we're setting up for another one this week, they can keep rolling. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you could see the charts don't lie. Like you've seen, if this is the huge sell off, I mean, you think about it, we almost had the same sort of dip right off the rip. So it's like we're these nasty when shit like this happens. I mean, this group is just, it's battle tested. We really are. There's not much that you can do to phase the apes. Hey, so Jack, kind of what I've been doing, right? So I've been, I obviously my goal is to increase the amount of shares that I have, but I have been working the options to basically increase my positions. Last week, I printed on a few that I took, exited my option positions, and rolled that over into stock. So I think that's a good play if you know what you're doing. I just don't think the options, oh, we're having a little bit of a run right now. I just don't think the options are very wise if you don't understand them. And to be honest with you, I really don't have even the best understanding. There's a lot of nuances. Like I get generally how options work, but there's levels to the shit. But you know what? Yeah, they're gonna go down. Like I said, hopefully I would love it if we come to find out a couple years from now that the same time that they did this, they pulled this bullshit on us, they got shorted by the apes too. How funny would that be? Yeah, we're getting a little bit of momentum into the last 5 minutes of market, which is nice. And we are seeing some more activity in the options chain. We've seen this one come in another call. This one's at $10,000, $70 strike. And again, I'll pull this up. I pulled it up at the beginning, but there's more of you guys in here now. For people that were worried, just so I know a lot of people are like, oh, dilution and all this stuff. The shares that were sold off this morning by AMC were not just like pulled out of thin air. The offering consists of shares beneficially owned by Blackwell Partners. So they're shares that were probably privately held somewhere, and they're just deciding to use them now. And again, like I said, I'm not going to say this is great news that this has happened, right? But what I'm saying is it's just irrelevant. It sucks, and these guys have obviously tried to make their play. We're already bouncing back. I just can't see the reason for people to panic. I really can't. I think I do. I'm bullish for the week. I really do. And then, like I said, I know, I don't know how many of you guys have been following the BAM investor, but a lot of his stuff is pretty spot on, and not even to give the guy deserves all the credit he's getting. I'm not even trying to pitch him out, but he's been right on the money with a lot of this stuff. So, and when he was doing his video, his basically sentiment is that we're bullish for some time to come. So, and it looked like there was a few areas of weakness, and that could be what we're seeing right now, though. And if this is the us being weak, then it's nothing. I don't know, man. There's the past couple days, especially yesterday, it was so bad on Twitter. Like I had to get the hell off of there. And then I was joining these Twitter space calls, and people are just like, they're going out their mind. And just basically, you guys know this, I'm sure, because you guys are all apes, but the shills are out in full force right now. Big time. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to pull up my chart so I can freaking see it. I know you guys can. Yeah, we're nice in a nice little upward trend on the to close the day. I mean, ending strong, I think, considering all the news and all the bullshit that's going around. I'm happy with this. It's another big loss for the shorts. Like I said, last week they lost 150 billion dollars. Or I'm sorry, not 150. Jesus, 1.5 billion dollars. Yeah, I mean, also too, I think that there's got to be something to be said about just again how much money these guys are losing every day. It's extremely expensive for them to do this. Just losing on the short position itself and the interest. It's something that I think again we're seeing these big ditch efforts or last ditch efforts to try and influence some sort of selling. But this to me is resilience, guys. I mean, if you see this big candle and just instantly pop, we're popping back. And you can see we're starting to grow again. And we're ending the day strong. Martin Morgan, I don't know, man. Like I said, I everything that I've seen from him has led me to believe that he's a genuine guy and he's on our side. Again, I don't even want to speculate too much on this until I see a little bit more from people that are even smarter than I am. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's important for me. And sometimes it sucks. And I know because we're apes, but I try to put myself in this guy's position. You know, he has a responsibility to all shareholders. And, you know, granted, they would be bankrupt without us. I still think it's important for him to have a long-term view, just from people that plan to hold their positions long-term, or people that maybe were there in the beginning, even when it looked like they were going bankrupt and their company was saved. You know, I think that those people have the ultimate conviction if you were still an investor in AMC at that point. It's just hard for me to determine like I said, if this sell-off is that big of a deal, if he did that and they raised a bunch of cash, I don't see the problem. This is, to me, it looks like we're bouncing right back. You know, I think people are looking a little too much into it. And that could be just me. That's just my opinion. Velocity is probably because they stand too much to lose, right? Like they may not survive it. And so that could be something that they're just prepared to ride it out as long as possible. You know, like you guys have heard, you know, people talk about being patient. Patient people make money in the stock market. That works to the inverse too sometimes. You know, if we get impatient in our positions and all of a sudden people start bailing out, that's why it's so important that, you know, people are always stressing like buy and hold, because at the end of the day, we can kind of control what happens. And it's very empowering to be in a position in life. You're really not in control of many things. And at this point, we are. So I think that that's pretty a unique and a baffling thing. And I think that that's one thing that they have all these smart minds and everything, but it's just one thing I didn't think that they took into account. So, Poto, that's kind of actually how I agree with you, man. I think that that's, regardless of that number is like, the dangerous part about it, I get it, if people are really holding to 100K, but I think the majority of apes understand that the price is really infinite depending on how this plays out, but it's more of a like a battle cry, and it just shows sentiment. And that's the way that I've always taken it. And I think a lot of people do as well. For people to, you know, hone in on that number and build their arguments on that is just, like I said, it's just people that are either getting paid to shill or just angry that they're losing money on their short positions. We did. We had a little Kraken night when we did that TMI podcast, and Gorilla Investments was there, Big Dog Stocks, Nick Finance. We were kind of getting dirty, dude, with that morning I was actually kind of, because I hadn't drank in a while like that, where I was drinking hard liquor. I was all like a dead man, all hungover. But I went crazy. Actually, after we got off the stream, I still kept drinking. Like I was on a roar and I was celebrating. We had a great week. Yeah, guys, I wouldn't worry too much about um Adam, I think that, what if he knew that it would have no effect on us as well? And like I said, and then it just puts the company in a better position for the long run. And ultimately, every day the company's farther away from bankruptcy, in my opinion, the shorts are losing money. Yeah. So what are we? People are saying we're at 15 cents after hours. Yeah, there we go. Let's go. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a run. Like I said, to me, even right now, the price that we're seeing, I expect what I expect from the stock to go. I don't really want to get into my price targets, but what I expect, this is like pennies on the dollars, guys. What's up, Dyer? What's going on, man? How are you? So we did have this last call that came in, this $28,000 one at 60 strike. Oops. That was bought at above the ask. So they rushed to get that in. And they sweeped it too. So they went to multiple different exchanges to get this filled. It's like an impulse buy. So how are you guys feeling about possibly, having an idea of maybe what the synthetic's looking like this week? Tomorrow's a big day, and I'm hoping that, and obviously the numbers are skewed because we only know that we're getting here, in North America, but it's still going to show. I think if those numbers come back even more than they did when they did the first count, that's going to show some extreme things, and hopefully it leads to some sort of enforcement action. I hope. I just don't understand exactly or fully how that works. What happens if they say, wow, again, this is way, like, there's a huge discrepancy, and they say, what do they do? Another revote? They can't do that. So I assume that they have to look into it or start that process at least. Windowland, that's kind of what I do. Like, I have calls pretty much for like the next 4 months. Like every week I've got calls. And what I'll do, I'll take a look at um keeping some depending on like how they're looking. But I was saying this earlier in the chat. My goal is to increase my shares. So I'll sell some of those options to buy more shares. And then sometimes I'll wait and load up on, if we're getting attacked, it's a day where it seems like the shorts are at their shenanigans, I'll go and buy some of those cheaper options as well. Those tend to have been working out really well for me. So I'll continue to do it. The thing is though, I'm scared to talk a lot about, I'll show the option chain and I think it shows a lot in terms of sentiment and where the stock's going. But I do always have to like remind people that it's dangerous. If you don't know what you're doing with options, I would highly advise even getting into it. But if you feel you have to, what I would tell like somebody like my dad or mom is I would buy long expiration calls that are way out the money. So if you happen to you hit big. Yes, I did, Rex. I was seeing that I talked to him this morning. And I'm pretty much, that guy's deserving all the glory that he's getting, honestly. I've talked with him, and even before I did any of the interviews with him, I had spent some time looking at his data and trying to identify who he was as a person, looking up his background. And the dude, I really do believe he is a solid guy. We've talked every day since our interview on the phone, just giving me updates on how I can learn his data a little bit better and really what it means. And again, he's just giving what the data shows. I think that at the end of the day too, if all that comes into play and we have this mix of like buying pressure that comes in from FOMO, I mean, we could even exceed that. It's a very, very bullish sentiment. And I talked to him and he'll be okay with me saying this. His model shows, well, he even said it in the stream. His model shows that there's strength for AMC all the way up to 2024. but specifically he sees a lot of zones in the upcoming months, like towards the end of July, early August. He sees a lot of zones of strength. So I'm bullish as hell. I made money following his stuff. Even when he said that, hey, we were going to have a zone of weakness after we kind of hit that peak, I got rid of my calls, and it did. It dipped exactly like literally minutes after I got rid of him. And I was able to load up on even more. The Kraken was released that night, JT, my boy. I was out of it. I was all messed up. I had a great time, though, with the guys. Those are all really good apes that have good hearts. And that's something, if you haven't seen the podcast, I went over that. Like, there's something to be said about people that are being genuine, right? Like about just who they are and their conviction about the stock and just the community. And I know there's a lot of people that are clowns and can piss you off and are really a fucking just assholes. And their main goal is out here to cause disruption. And it is that shill bullshit. Literally, I urge you guys really try not to bother that too much. There's nothing wrong with people disagreeing with you, and you don't need to be angry at them for doing that. But you know, when they cross a line, you just need to be like a brick wall to that shit. So Jeff, actually, I don't want to jump too far ahead because I was going to plan this out, but I guess I could give you as this is going to be coming. We are going to be doing, I want to make sure that his system is all up and running. And so, you know, that he had some issues and some cyber attacks, and it was some crazy shit. He was calling me. He was all very upset because it fucked with a lot of his systems. But we are going to do, because again, I'm new to stocks too. I haven't been in this for a very long time. So one thing that I presented to him that, hey, we do a video where you'll sit down and I'm going to go through reading your charts, like the actual subscription charts. And then also using his platform, his Anemoy as well. When that's all ready to go, that system is not 100% ready, but when it is, we'll be able to, like us apes will literally be able to use the same charting that he does, which is completely different than what black box stocks is or any of these other things that show like to have their own kind of system where you could see the graphs or trading view. It uses all of his sort of indicators and measurements, and a lot of it's based off of, you know, these trigger clusters. It's all kinds of shit. So I've been reading up on it, trying to get myself prepared, but we are going to do a crash course, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to record it. I'm going to ask a lot of the questions you guys would be asking because I'm smooth brained. So I promise that will be helpful. And I even told him, I said, after we do it, you should probably put it, because it's going to be a very simple version for people that are new to this to understand. You should use the like me as like the dummy for that, right? Like the practice dummy. Carlton, let me see if I could grab a link for you here. I'll move this over. I'll send it to you because I actually did an interview with him, or I'll just send you his Twitter actually, because you could watch all of his videos there. Let me see if I can find it. The dude, like I said, I watched him for probably a week or two and pretty closely before I decided that I was going to actually reach out to him. And it was crazy because I'm like, dude, how does this guy know what the hell is going on? Because his charts were literally freaking on point. All right, let me see. I have to go into... Actually, okay, I think I can do this right now. All right, here you go. So here's the link for you guys if you want to go check out his Twitter and his other videos. We just got his YouTube set up, so I subscribed to that. I think I was the first subscriber, actually. Anyways, guys, how did Murdrek do after they sold? They got crushed. Yeah, they're down. I think it was you were telling me they're down 15% already today. I didn't look. We could actually look right now. Let me see. That guy is smart as shit, though. For real, for real. Yeah, so they're down 15.16%. So 15% down on the day. Holy crap. Now that's what you guys get. You fuck with the apes, you get smashed. like Kong, just fucking trampling a motherfucker. So JD, yeah, that's what I'm gonna. I basically that's why thought it would be a good idea to get with him and have me go through it because I'm still learning it too. Paul, like I said, it may be like, sometimes I've also seen like a delay. So like, um, sometimes it'll pass the zone of strength just a little bit and then pop like right afterwards. But I've 90% of the time he's been like spot on. I think that's funny. These guys are down. It's, at the end of the day, what those guys are doing, I don't. Again, I think that you guys need to not think too much about it. It's just you've seen we bounced down a little bit and we bounced right back up. No, I haven't looked at the Ortex data today. Let's see. We could go to the Twitter and check it out. If you guys didn't see Matt Core's interview today on Fox Business, that shit was awesome. He did very well. Did extremely, extremely well. How are you guys feeling? What platform is that? So which one? The one that showed the options, or this is Ortex? If you're thinking of the one that showed the options, this right here is called Black Box Stocks. It's very cool. If you guys don't know about it, will show you all the dark pool transactions that might happen on a day-to-day basis. It can show you the block purchase, like the institutional block purchases. But the main reason I watch it is because it's an undelayed option chain. So if I want to follow big money, like right when they place their order, I could simultaneously trade side by side with them, which is how I've been learning a lot about how these guys are working and thinking. If you guys watch the videos or my videos, you guys will already know, but this AA on a call is very bullish. That means they bought it at above the asking price. So they just wanted to get it filled. You know what I mean? And they were okay with paying an even more expensive price. So we actually seen the short interest increase today as well. Still sitting at 99% utilization. 133.4 million shares on loan. 1.25 days to cover. And look at this number just on loan. Shit. Sorry, guys. I just moved the chat off. I missed some of the shit that you guys have been saying. Yeah, Brian, he did a great job. He did a very, very great job. Shannon, I mean, basically what happened, like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There was AMC, they made a decision that they thought was in the best interest of the company, and they raised a little bit of cash. They sold some of their privately held shares. And the purchaser, which is Mudrick Capital, that bought those shares, basically released a FUD article, and basically dumped their position. And so it was kind of a fast one, and it sucks that it happened. But I think overall, if we look at the actual sell-off here, right? Well, actually, let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys. So if we look at the actual shit. So we're looking right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is the sell-off right here. But if you see, I mean, we kind of caught ourselves, right? And for the rest of the day, I mean, you've seen, and we kind of start riding up like a roller coaster, but we're going up. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then we're seeing some, flat trading. I just think that we've seen a mixture of them dumping their shares and also some people that have probably maybe jumped in last week, at $35 that don't know, have no conviction. You could have seen some panic selling there too. But my point being is that if that was the worst that we're dealing with, right? Like this is where we were at, and this was this big thing that was everybody's freaking out about. I mean, I thought we redeemed ourselves very nicely. Zay, like I said, I don't know, man. Like I said, I understand the guy's, he has to run a company to run. And I also try not to worry about things that we can't control. So, if he just decided that he was going to do that. And like I said, what I try to concentrate on is the fact that it didn't really affect us. And I don't think it will. I thought, like I said, we recovered and bounced off fine. What's up, Awu? What's up? How are you doing, big dog? B Carter, would I buy call options right now? I am not a financial advisor. I can't really tell you. Like I can tell you that I'm actively buying calls. Yes, I have calls out for pretty much every week up until, I think, actually, to be honest, I think September 17th is where I go out to. I've got a lot there at $35, and then I've bought some that are in the money that are just continuing to print for me. You know what I mean? Those are a little bit more expensive. Again, though, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'd be really careful. That's where I use tools like what I just showed you, like these, black box stocks, where, I'll try and see what the conviction is like on some of these. Like if somebody's buying something like this above the ask and they have a significant amount of money, I'll go look at the open interest and make a decision, based off of what I see there. I'll go look at, if there's anybody else that are doing the same thing, similar. And then really at the end of the day, though, again, they're just risky. So you need to be careful. I don't want to advise anybody to do options if you have no real knowledge on how to do them. And I'm still learning more every day. Brian, I agree with that. And like I said, this guy's got a company to run. And I'm not saying, like, again, I don't want to sugarcoat it. It sucks that this happened, right? So I agree with you guys. I just am choosing not to panic about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Trevor, who sold shares to Citadel? Like the reason why I'm curious about that, and we could look at this together. I have no problem with that. But I was looking at, let's see here, at their ownership here, and I'm seeing on their recent filing on the May 21st was effective on March 31st that they have 0 shares in Mudrick. So that's where I'm confused, where maybe some of that information is coming from, or if there's any truth to that. But if you can show me some data, I'm not challenging you at all. Like if you could show me something, I'd be glad to take a look at that. How come we don't have background music? You know what? I don't know why. I guess I should put some on. It's better than just hearing my voice. I totally forgot about it today. One day, for one of the first videos that I recorded, I actually had it on there, and people don't like that. But I think for the live streams, it could be a little bit more fitting. Yeah, I think Ray, you're onto something right there. I agree. Like I said, I have, um, and I'm watching mine like a hawk. Like I said, if I need to get out of them, I will. And my main goal with options, guys, is to take the profit and to buy more shares. It's all about increasing my position. So if I have the opportunity to make money on them, I will, and I'll use it to buy more shares. Yes, Paul. Yes, that is correct. Wow, there's a lot of you guys in here. I didn't realize. I thought I didn't. I just looked at the view count. Well, what's up, everybody? Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'm just hoping that you guys are not panicking too much. We're gonna be able to do some cool stuff too. As we were talking about BAM earlier, once I get a full understanding of this Nimoy app, we'll all be able to use it together, and maybe we'll be onto something. When I was talking to Jim, he was saying that basically, if you really learn how to master the terminal, you won't be surprised by anything that really happens in the market, especially volatile swings. You'll feel pretty confident knowing what's coming. But it's just a lot to learn, and I have an information overload right now as it is, because I'm just trying to, it all comes out so fast. I try and learn about it, and I'm sure you guys feel that way as well. Like, I was digging around on all this stuff right now on Mudrick Capital and seeing if they own shares of Citadel, if Citadel owns shares of them. But really what I have found that it just, again, I don't think it really matters that much. Even if that was like a talking point that we had, I think it's interesting information, and we'd be like, oh, look at they're in cahoots, and why would Adam do that? But again, this is what it did to the price. Like, we were fine, we redeemed fine, we bounced back. I sometimes it's like, and this is not you guys, I'm not saying you guys are this way, but you would think that it's the end of the damn world. You're shadow banned from who? Cries. Not here. I could see you, buddy. Or on Twitter. That sucks. I've been seeing people been doing that's been happening to people. Kurt, but so maybe you did answer me. Did you see what I said about that though? Because when I looked at the filings, I didn't see that they do own anything. They own any percentage of Mudrick. I thought I pulled up on the screen, but like I said, if you have, this is according to at least their 13F filings here. So, but maybe this is filed on the 21st. That's what I'm confused about. Hey, Woo, after the squeeze, am I going to continue to stream? I think so. I was talking to Team I and those guys. We really like the idea of keeping this community intact. There's a lot of power in it. So I'm going to do everything in my power, and I truly enjoy it. Like, this is probably my favorite part. I love this much more than making videos because I get to talk with you. It's just sometimes I have time constraints and can't be with you as much as I'd like to be. Let's see. The good news is, hey, Mudrick ran through the shares and we still closed above 31. That's 100% right. And they're down on the day too, on top of that. $570 contracts for mid-July. Good luck on those, brother. I hope they print for you. Oh, it wasn't easy to find. Okay. I'll have to look. I love Charlie in the vids. That fool makes good stuff, and he's smart as hell. If you guys don't follow him, you should. He comes out with some high-level stuff. And he also holds people accountable for what they say, which I think is pretty refreshing. So, Trevor, I guess I understand that. I do. But the problem is I mean, and I might be naive in saying this, right? But I would think that at some point, all these guys have some sort of connection down the line. They own so many different companies, subsidiaries, and all this different shit, arms and legs of their stuff. I just can't. In my mind, I gotta believe that they're connected somehow together. All of everybody, all these funds, all the banks, all of it. Oscar, when is the squeeze happening, man? Let me pull out my crystal ball for you a second. Hang on. No, I have no idea. I mean, sell the options when you feel like you've made enough money. That's the best thing I can say. I know that's kind of like a shit answer, but the truth is I have a set price in my head, and I suggest you get one too. Like, I can tell you what my goal is. My goal for this is to make life-changing money, not, cents on the, dollars or cents on the dollars, right? I need to make some big bucks on this because my conviction leads me to believe that's what is going to happen. Are you Shuki, are you talking about Black Box? I'm sorry. Um Dex Clan, I mean, I think that that's like if you were going to make a safe play, that definitely could be. You got a lot of time for those to mature. For sure, for sure. Jeff Vance, I hope so. Like I said, I think that we're gonna have I think the squeeze is inevitable, right? Like, and I think we're gonna have some violent price movement. And I think that again, if we were talking about people were talking about the 100K earlier, and I've been hearing it so much in the Twitter spaces where it's like actually starting to cause division. Like people believe it or they don't. And I think one thing I want to address about that, whether you believe that 100K number or not, it's a battle cry. It shows conviction. It gets people's mind right. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like when you a football team goes out and plays football, they're gonna, they're trying to run up 50. You know what I mean? They say, hey, we're gonna score 50 points today, even though realistically, like, stats that should probably show that, like, the probability of that happening. And I'm not saying that like is the case for AMC, but I'm just showing that, it just shows conviction. It puts us in the right direction. It gets the gears going. Oh, BlackBerry. I think that I think it's going to have its time too. I think that those chain of stocks that basically, if you want to call them meme stocks, that all were affected by everything that happened here in January, I think they're all going to have their own level of a squeeze. The magnitude, I think, of like what AMC and, GameStop could be, probably not. But I know that they are going to have their runs as well. I shouldn't say I know, but I believe that they're going to have their runs as well. What's up, Sheetrock Wizard? I love your name, by the way. My dad, growing up, he used to, it was a drywaller in Vegas. He did a lot of the casinos and stuff. So Brian, yeah, like I said, I was actually thinking about talking about that in my earlier video, but I'm like, I better just stay away from the Mudrick stuff, period, until I get the facts. But as I was doing some research, they actually were a helping hand at that time. Like I said, this could be one of those things where, like, hey, we helped you, now we're gonna take some money. Like, I just also, I think people are forgetting that, like, let's say if they made 10% on their position, right? If you have 10%, but if that 10% is millions and millions of dollars because these guys are playing on a different playing field than we are, that's a lot more money. Than they need a little to be a lot. Whereas, like, we want a lot to be a lot, if that makes sense. We're hoping that, some people have, 1,000 shares and they're looking to make life-changing money. These guys have so much in it. It's, they just, 10% could be a huge gain. And so they got responsibilities to the people that are invested in them as well. Okay, so they say 4%. So if you do want to look at something, this is what I'm trying to I did see that I didn't bring up. So we have the 0 shares on the 13F, but if we look at the 13DG filings, it does show 4.70%, which is probably the number that Charlie is getting, I'm guessing. But this is an important note. I'll highlight this here. So it says one of the primary uses of the 13D/G filings is to evaluate the ability of a firm to control a company, right? So it's saying, yeah, the percentage that it has that it control the company. To that end, firms are required to report not just direct holding in companies, but indirect holdings that they control. For investment firms, these indirect holdings can include shares in funds they manage, advisory accounts, and a case of activist campaigns and pledged votes. Therefore, share counts listed on the 13G filings, 13G DG filings can differ significantly than share counts on the 13Fs. So I assume he's looking at this numbers, but it could be, I guess, from any one of these things. So advisory accounts, shares and funds that they manage, and indirect holdings. So, but I guess if they wanted to call on those, but what I'm wondering is how, like, if that money trail flows all the way back to them. It probably does. Interesting stuff. But I wonder if this is the number that he's talking about, because I did get kind of confused on this. Or if anybody in the chat has insight on this, please, I'm all ears. Dave demand. That's what I did. Like I said, I'm selling on the spikes, especially if they're close to expiration, and I'm taking those profits to roll into more, long stock and increasing, maybe buying more options and stuff too. I just know that, it's a dance. I'm trying to play it smart and do it correctly. But, at the end of the day, you could get burned playing options. That's why I'm advising everybody in here that has interest in doing it. Please just know that options are risky. Amon, I get asked that a lot. I've asked Lou, I don't want to put anybody up here that didn't give me permission. So that's why. It's the best way to put it. Well, I put Adam up there, but he's the one guy I guess I didn't get by. So it kind of defies logic. But Lou is, a different breed. He doesn't really like people that are on YouTube and stuff. And I just find it better to probably stay away from that. I actually think that Lou makes a lot of valid points, but I don't want to get on the bad side of him. Yeah, I think, like I said, Brian, a lot of people, the majority of the community that I talk to, you guys have conviction, no doubt at all. Yeah, I got some, Jeff. I have, I bought, let's say, I want to say, shit, almost 3 or 4 grand worth of different options, all based off of the new strike prices that came out today. And I talked to Bam this morning specifically about options, and basically he gave me a little bit of confirmation porn that I could be making a smart decision. So again, not financial advice, but just, me talking to him, he feels confident in my decision. Put Melania there. Hey, DB, I appreciate that. I think that, again, if you can play options smart, you can make some money for sure, for sure. I might get away with putting the duck there, Peter. That's a good idea. That's kind of clever. And I think that his fans would notice that. That's a smart idea. Alan, so basically options in a nutshell, like I'll try and give you a really simplified version because there's a lot of information, but basically you as an investor can choose to make a bet either that a stock is going to go up or down based off a certain time frame. And each time that you make an option, so one contract is basically worth 100 shares. So you get a little bit more leverage when you use them. But again, they're risky because if you're wrong, then you risk, the price that you paid on the option to become absolutely worthless. So I hope that's in it, the quickest and most direct way I can put it, because ultimately there's a lot that goes into it. Do that at your own risk because it's high risk but high reward. But again, if you do it with money, you can afford to lose. Jeff, that is the way. That is the way. We are going to the moon, AMC. Yes, my buddy, we are going to the moon. I believe that with 100% of my heart. I have my dad hitting me up every other day, asking me to help him put more in over the phone. I have to walk him out of put money into his TD account so he could buy. So my dad's an 8, but with him, I've been advising him to buy just stock. He's not doing any options. So Oscar, see, that's the thing. So you know what? It's okay. Don't cry over spilt milk. You're always gonna have that. This is part of the nature of the beast. I think you always could have made more. But next time, no, like there's nothing wrong, especially in the options, and you're convicted on the stock and you're going to go long. There's nothing wrong with if you see a price spike and your option prints and you want to roll that over into stock. I'm all for that. If it runs too high, can they delist it? I do not see that being ever something in the realm of possible. Well, I shouldn't say that, but very, very, very highly unlikely. What we will see that could freak people out if you're not used to it is like trading halts, but that's just basically, the exchanges basically stopping from too crazy of volatile movement. So if something spikes up or down with like crazy amounts, they'll stop for 10 minutes, let everybody cool off, you know what I mean? And then boom, everything starts going again. Will it dip back underneath 30? It's possible, man. Anything's possible. I don't, I hope it doesn't. It's really, for me, it looks like we have some strong support at 30. So I'm hoping not. I don't want to say never, though. It's possible. I would look at that as a buying opportunity myself, especially on the options for my trading strategy. When I see price dips, I'm definitely going after those cheap options, especially because I'm so bullish. Lurking's right. And even me, to be honest with you, I'm going to be fully transparent, guys. I am constantly having to look up. Like, I have got basically a glossary. I was even thinking about sharing it, where I have to constantly, it's like notes of things that like you need to be crammed into your head. And so the Greeks are like one of those, and understanding how those work with like theta decay, and how, time is really a huge factor in the value of your options. And then you have to worry about these deltas. Is actually kind of unique. And I learned this from Matt Kors about what causes a gamma squeeze is when you have options, a lot of options that land in the money. These market makers, essentially what they have to do is, because they were kind of short the stock when they sold the options. So what they have to do is they have to go what's known as delta hedging. And every little bit that delta percentage increases, it increases like the amount that they have to hedge for. And when that number gets pretty high, that's how you can see sometimes a gamma squeeze, because these market makers are having to go buy the shares for these option contracts that are in the money that could potentially be exercised. So that's why that's kind of what we've seen a little bit last week, is when we were seeing that price rise mixed with a little bit of FOMO squeezing, we were seeing some of them purchase some of those stocks for that delta hedge. How do I buy my calls if I even can before the expiration date? Again, I'm just going to say this. If you're new to options, you should be very careful. But you would just purchase the call way before. You just would look down the options chain for the strike price, the price that you want to bet that it would go, essentially, and the expiration date, and then you would choose it. That's what your target date. You're saying, hey, I'm thinking it's going to be X price on Y date, kind of thing. I made good money last week too, Dave. I made great money, and I rolled it over into new option positions, and the majority of it into stock, because when I first got in and started learning about options, I kind of spread them out pretty far. I went really aggressive. And I'll be honest with you, there's been a couple that I lost on the first couple of months as I got into this, but lately they've been printing for me. Dave made huge gains doing that. Yeah. But if I go any deeper, I heard these options are cheap because they are about to expire, but become high value if they go in the money. Yeah. So that's the thing, though. If people were doing that, I was reading a story. My buddy told me that he has a friend that I think on Thursday bought in on some of those options that were more expensive, some of those newer introduced strike price options. And because we've seen that downward movement on Friday, he wasn't paying attention and actually ended up losing a lot of money. And that's why options are scary, guys. Up 240%, man. High hats off to you. That's super sick, Shandon. I mean, I think that there's people that could be construing that as sold us out, man. I guess that's all about your viewpoint. I think he's making long-term decisions for the company. Like I said, am I happy? Am I sitting here jumping up and down that, he sold some positions? No, but I just don't think it really matters. Like I said, he's making a long-term play, and if he's making a long-term play for the company, and maybe, he has that vision where he's seen that, hey, look, it didn't affect us that much. And maybe he knew that from the get-go. I don't think he's going to intentionally try and hurt the people that are saving his company. But again, because we're talking about the subject again, I don't think it has any impact like that on us. I think we're fine. I don't think it's going to cause any major issues. Some of them, it's crazy that, like, I didn't, I've wouldn't even be able to exercise some of my options. I'm hoping that as some of the ones that are coming to the money before my longer expiration ones, that I will be able to have the fundage to do that. But I went crazy on a couple of those ones in September. Like I said, I mean, you could look at it like that too. Infamous, it didn't have, at least it's now, it didn't cause a bunch of the price. I mean, we dropped a little bit. We instantly started seeing recovery. It looked like there was buying going into the day. Like, let me look at my TD. I have it up on the other. Like after hours, we're still got a little bit of jump when we opened. I'm not too worried about it. I think that you guys are not you guys, but if you are worried about it, you're overthinking it. Yeah, Brian. So just to repeat what he just said, just remember at the time of the squeeze, the actual shares will be what you sell to get the big gains. And that's that's the truth at the end of the day. What I am treating the options as is just a vessel. It's just a vessel for me to increase my long stock position. And like I said, I have literally like 10 minutes to get ready. I'm gonna go do a podcast with TMI and the boys over at the podcast are hosting. You guys need to make sure you guys check that out. It's going to be every Friday, but I think we're going to do the filming tonight. So I'm going to actually have to bounce out of here, but make sure that you guys are paying attention to the TMI network. Go subscribe to that channel if you haven't, because it's not just me and TMI. There's my boy Gorilla Investments, Nick Finance, Big Dog Stocks, and basically just getting like the perspective from like, a group of friends collectively. And I would love to get some female company on there too, so we can get a female's perspective. But I guess that will come in due time. So make sure you guys go and subscribe to the TMI network. And then if you guys like the content here and you guys like chat with me, go ahead and please make sure you subscribe to my channel. You guys are like family.